12 years ago, I picked up a camera and started to film Roy Gurvitz. He was the driving force behind Lost Vagueness, the festival within the festival, and the invention which saved Glastonbury.
I knew he was the winner, you see. I was supporting him right from the word go. Lost Vagueness thing was very good.
He'd brought this incredible element to the festival, which was this party, this Las Vagueness, and everything that it brought in, and all the tribes that were involved in it. It was just amazing.
It was providing an excitement that had to be there. Without it, Glastonbury probably would have died.
I thought Glastonbury was quite out there, and it's someone within Glastonbury who's running something even more out there.
There was something about the chaos that he loved and stoked and celebrated, and actually that's kind of one of the things that made it brilliant.
But it wasn't possible to carry on like that. We nearly destroyed ourselves and each other.
Glastonbury is one of the most famous festivals in the world, and now much more than a music festival. Roy is one of the people who helped change this.
We weren't actually selling the tickets like we should have done. It wasn't a sell-out situation. So I thought, what can I do? What can I do to publicise something that's different, you see? And so Roy was doing the ballroom dancing and hiring in the gowns and stuff.
Hi, Roy.
Hi, how
Thank you for allowing us into your oasis of civilization.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ballroom dancing, why?
Well, it's just an excuse to get people dressed up and have a bit of fun and have a laugh. Most of the people that come in here do want to take part.
Michael, big fan of ballroom dancing?
Not really, no. I announced it to the world and it went everywhere. Australia, America. We sold the last of the tickets because of the ballroom dancing story. It's extraordinary, isn't it? So I really feel I owe Roy a favour because of the ballroom dancing thing.
Roy's 8.5 years younger than me. He got all the love because he was a baby. My father had a really, really bad temper. When he was in a good mood, he could be a lot of fun. He was always singing and playing games, but he had a dark side. This will give you an idea of what my father was like. That's my mum, and you can see how beautiful she was. And that was my dad. Can you see, with a gold chain and very clean, very smart, very dapper. Now, I never discussed politics or religion ever with my father. But for some reason, Roy, this is when he was a lot older, when he was a teenager, started arguing about, I think it was about religion. And Roy stormed out and said, I hope I never see you again as long as I live. And then that was when he cut himself off from everybody, because I never saw him for 20 years, and neither did my mum.
Every year, they become more visible. Every summer, more and more young people opt for what they see as the freedom of life on the open road. But what they encounter is the hostility of local residents and the attention of the police, who regularly move them on from sites that they're occupying illegally.
I'm a county court bailiff. I'm here from Scotland.
I did go and try and make my own way in life, and I suppose if home life had been better, I would have carried on living at home. I left at the end of the 70s, and it got miners' strike, the whole traveller thing. I lived on the road, there was a squatting thing going on, Margaret Thatcher.
I'm only too delighted to do anything we can to make life difficult for such things as hippie converts.
I've been beaten up by the police, I've been arrested, thrown out of squats, had vehicles taken. You know what I mean? This whole sense of, it all just seems really unfair.
Roy was a traveller, you know, in the 80s, and he was kind of a gang leader type.
The Travellers were always a massive part of the festival. But from a child's perspective, because I was about 10 or 11, there were elements of it which were a little bit unsettling.
When I met Roy, I'd just gone on the road, thrown away all my bricks and mortar existence and bought a truck and was just living in that. And we were coming down to Glastonbury and Roy came sort of shambling up, and I think he hadn't got a vehicle or anything then, and he wanted to be my hitchhiker.
She just sort of dropped me off and threw me out in the middle of a field and then left me there and drove off, which is kind of, you know, it's what women do, isn't it?
He'd never been to Glastonbury before, but I will say he did manage to blag us in somehow.
He's quite kind of verbose, isn't he? And he's got a lot to say, he's got a lot of ideas, and everything's wrong and all that.
I have memories of just watching my dad and Roy interact, and it was like mostly funny and also quite aggressive. There were times where I was like, I think he's taking the piss out of you.
He was kind of troublesome, but on the other hand, I thought I could deal with this bloke. And he became a link person between me and the Travellers, really.
Things were really good for a while, and then there were all the riots in 1990.
We just want to go somewhere!
Glastonbury had become effectively out of control.
There were Molotov cocktails being thrown outside the window and kind of telegraph poles coming towards us, and that was really scary at that point. I got taken up to my granny's house, which was up at the top of the road, and all I could see were ambulances just coming out. I was like, what's going on down there? Like, you know, it felt like the end of the world.
It had to change because it was fucking horrible. It was violent, it was nasty, it was...
Yeah, it was either going to die a death or something major had to happen.
Michael asked me whether I would come and help him sort of restructure the festival. And I took on the responsibility of having the entertainment license and running the festival effectively.
I just started telling people we need to get a lot more creative if we want this to continue. Making it presentable and changing the look and being quite crusty and aggressive. You know, everyone's wearing paramilitary clothing.
We had such a bad reputation. We were like really getting slagged off everywhere. Everyone called us crusties. The fucking press used to shit on Glastonbury. It was like mud hell, crusty city.
A few years later, we came up with the idea of, well, why don't we just wear dicky blows and tuxedos and ball gowns, put the men in women's clothes, and it altered everything. It made everything entirely different. It was the same people, but suddenly people were going, wow. And out of that was born Las Vagueness. I'd been doing bars there for 10 years before Las Vagueness even started, and I just thought, yeah, we'll do a cafe with a casino behind it, and it was only half a dozen of us and a roulette table, and we made it look like there was a whole casino going on. Everybody wanted to get in there, so the following year we put it up and we let people in, and that was a big mistake.
To let people in, it's packed. Oh, all right.
No, you're missing the point. It worked beautifully as this illusionary space that didn't really exist, that people could see. Once you let them in, the magic's over, isn't it? It's like showing someone how to do a magic trick. The magic's gone. But, well, it was for me, but obviously it carried on, as you well know.
After the success of the ballroom and the casino, Las Vagueness became the official after-party in Glastonbury.
I found them all in various asylums up and down the country. Asked them if they'd like to come out for the day, and they all kind of say yes. Look at the back of that lorry, look how well packed it is.
Come along the big line for me and my home.
How long does it take to plan?
I suppose a good 6 months of solidly concentrating on this particular event.
You've got the to-do list, I'll take it.
I met Roy when I was 17.
Yeah.
It's a fucking long time ago.
I like cake and no mistake, but baby, if you insist, I'll cut out cake just for your sake. Baby, come knock me a kiss.
I'd been doing a cabaret called the Golden Tip Salute. Roy asked us to do a sort of exotic, weird cabaret thing. It started off just being like a £5 gazebo from Argos with some fabric hanging up in it.
People were starting their own little interesting side projects, which all ended up being the sum total of Las Vagueness.
I've got to put together the guest list, which is, as usual, enormous, and help Nettie, and then get changed into a really brilliant costume.
Which is going to be...
The whole night is about Layla's costume. Yeah.
What? Come on, what is...
No, I can't tell you. It's in that suitcase.
Layla, it's the baby preview. We can shut the door.
I can't, because do you know what? It's so exciting
We'll
that
tell
you're just
everyone.
going to peak too early, and the whole rest of the night will be a massive disappointment.
It's really thrilling being part of something. When you sit down and you talk about your life, you talk about the interesting bits, not the like, I'm really fulfilled, I'm a mother. You know, you just say, like, I once did this ridiculous thing, listen to this story, you know, and invariably they're all about Las Vagueness.
I was constantly amazed by Roy's ability to rope in this incredible array of creative people who turned Lost Vagueness from a small corner of Glastonbury into a massive subculture of its own.
I started DJing in the casino, and Roy said, I really want everyone to play classical. And I said, well, what about jazz? Let's go with jazz, shall we? It was high time that there was an alternative to rave and repetitive beats, and we were all sick to death of that. Lost Vagueness encouraged me to look back to what people were raving to in the 20s. What were they raving to in the 30s? All this weird and wonderful music became completely relevant to this space, and the look and costumes, and you weren't allowed in there unless you looked incredibly theatrical.
I went along and I used to just kind of sleep and then go into the casino about 5 o'clock in the morning or something. And I just thought, this place needs dancing girls.
That was the start of the infamous Can-Can Girls, the face of Las Vagueness.
People thought I was crazy dealing with Roy. All my team people said, oh, you know, why did you put up with all that grief and all that sort of thing? And I said, well, because he does a good show, you see.
And this is Las Vagueness, a field of Roy. Yeah, they're all tomboy folk, really. It's quite edgy, it's quite sort of... Roy! Yeah, you made it in the end. How are you? You're doing very, very smart. A typical traveller, it's like he's been dressed up posh like this.
Evening, people, welcome to the casino. That's a nice little pink number. Have you not got a shirt and tie on, young man? Fasten yourself up, it's a good job you're sexy, go on. That's nice.
I met Roy at an exhibition and I just got been off at somebody. He says, you're just what I need. It's a good laugh, but the mud's no good in stilettos. It's a bit of a nightmare.
Somebody said you could get dressed up, and I thought that was an entertaining idea. So here I am. This is a little big.
Wear a dress. Look
Men in dresses are much sexier than men in suits.
Show me a dress I could fit into. There you go.
Ladies
I didn't
and
exactly
gentlemen.
You've got to let your hair down.
Head down, darling, head down.
Oh my god, now I'm getting styled.
Now look into the camera, baby.
I snogged 2 blokes last night, and as a, bona fide, confirmed straight guy, I'm a bit worried that Las Vagueness is having a bit too much influence on me.
All the transsexuals and all that, it's just kind of
the gay scene is arrived
so
at the
lovely to see that.
I think it's a bit too wild, really. It's a bit risky. It's a bit too naughty, if you like. That's what makes it so exciting, though, isn't it?
My name is Silas P. Lovetruth, and these are my sisters of perpetual indulgence. And we are here at the Chapel of Love and Loathing in Las Vegas, ready to marry you in unholy matrimony. We're trying to have a special fucking moment here, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, it could happen to you. Love is all around, baby. Love is all around.
Oh my God, my pussy! My pussy's returned!
It's brilliant, this changing room. I came in as a dog and ended up like this.
I think I married someone in Las Vagueness. Not married them, I performed the ceremony, I think.
Wasn't
in
it
the
a
chapel
pantomime horse?
No, I don't think I married the pantomime horse.
No, were you not the pantomime horse? Because you didn't want too many people recognising you.
Yes, that's right.
Well, at this point in proceedings, I'm supposed to invite our friend Keith Allen on stage to perform World in Motion with us. You didn't mention the horse.
For me, in those early days of Las Vagueness, it was providing an excitement that had to be there. You were in a position where we would have 120,000 people in the festival generally, and then the music would finish at midnight, and pretty much 120,000 people then wanted to go to Las Vagueness.
They were for the parents to wear, so you couldn't hear the children. Actually, they are for the children, so they can't hear the parents. That's what it is.
We didn't know where he was. We tried with the Missing Persons Bureau. They put things on CFAX, and they put something in the Big Issue, and the people from the Big Issue said 3 women had phoned up and said, yes, we know Roy, he's at Glastonbury, blah, blah, blah. I thought, what am I going to do? Going to Glastonbury, never been there, walking around in the mud and looking for him with thousands of people. I thought, how would I ever find him? Had I known, if I would have gone there and said to anyone, where's Roy Gurvitz, I would have found him.
This is my friend Gary the dog Davis.
Hello everybody.
You're the apology party candidate for Wales, aren't you?
I certainly am, and I'd like to apologise
for coming from Wales and living there for most of my life.
Anything else? The other thing you need to, well, not necessarily apologise for, but rectify something. Your pink tent's rather baggy.
Is it?
Yeah.
What I loved about Las Vagueness was that every year there were new worlds to discover. Places where creators invited you to stumble into brilliantly eccentric universes.
We have exhibits that go right back to showing how the circus was in Roman times. Bonnie is a butterfly trainer, but I'm not a butterfly trainer. I have, as everybody can, train ladybirds, like you do when you're a child, ladybirds and woodlice.
But butterfly training is much more complicated. Only women can train butterflies, and they're best if they're hand-reared. I don't train butterflies now because it's illegal.
I had been to Glastonbury and I was so struck by the fact that people were putting so much love into making a space so that I could be comfortable. And then I met Roy, and Roy said, oh yeah, I'm going to Glastonbury swimming. And I was like, oh well, if you need a hand, give us a shout.
When was this?
2002. There were people doing things that I had already written about, because my work when I was at art school was about multi-room installations with performers and audience interactions and moving through spaces rather than around objects. And these guys were doing it without thinking about it.
It was a really amazing time because we were all of a certain age, you know, in our early 30s, and, you know, I'd do 3 shows a night, and I'd be like coming on after Madness had finished playing to, you know, a room with like 2,000 people in the ballroom. Las Vagueness really gave a platform to expose a lot of edgy and experimental work to a more mainstream audience.
It was the thing that appealed to me, and I found it very empowering, and it kind of shocked my feminist sensibilities in a good way. You know, I felt like I was a really emancipated woman, and so to see someone undress on stage, it was kind of difficult but then brilliant. There was, you know, loads of tattoos, people were all different sizes and piercings and all that kind of stuff, and I kind of felt like they're reclaiming the female form.
Everyone who's involved in it feels like a performer to some extent. So, you know, from the person working behind the bar to people who are just in there to, you know, the people who run it, we all kind of get slightly into character. As soon as you start putting a costume on, you know, you're leaving yourself, and that's a really freeing thing to do.
Here in the Las Vagueness tent, we are very nice people with multi-bang sex attack. It's good times. I have a toy which I like to bring called a love tub. Come and have a look.
Strategy liberated. I've always felt like there's a sort of inner bumblebee in me. Right. And I've always wanted to do that, and I figured the only place I'd ever get away with it was Las Vegas.
I mean, I remember in the midst of the Bumblebee night having a kind of revelation. You know, I thought Glastonbury was quite out there, and it's someone within Glastonbury who's running something even more out there.
Oh no! Get out! That's not fair! This is my changing room!
Roy the fringe G-string. It's a once only occurrence.
Oh, all right then. Go on then. That's as much as you're gonna get. Hi, honey. But no. Go. I thought you wanted me. I thought you wanted me so much. It wasn't like that in the jacuzzi.
You could go right into the roots of the anthropology of what events do for humans and why there's been festivals forever. Sex is at the background of all of it. It's kind of a bit like the night before the atom bomb fell. You know the world's going to be over tomorrow,
You go downtown and you see the first girl you like and go, look, the world's going to be over tomorrow, let's make love. That's quite an atmosphere to create. Not the world's going to be over tomorrow, but that kind of like abandon. And maybe the English have been kept in this hole for so long that you open it up a crack and everyone goes crazy. And that's great.
Do you mind? I'm getting changed.
This Las Vagueness, you know, it's a bit hedonistic, gets a bit crazy. We thought it'd be a bit of an antidote. You come into our lovely house, get treated like you would do at your granny's. We've got lots of services we provide, you know, we might do someone's nails or makeup or trim someone's beard.
The laundretters started in 2003. We were these kind of like really young, feisty feminists that were like having a massive laugh. We're just taking the look of a sort of archetypal housewife character and sort of revealing all those things that as a woman you weren't really able to do back then.
I remember very clearly, I said to Roy, this is amazing and I can write about it. And he went, well, no one's going to fund us, bunch of crusty travellers, they hate us, blah, blah, blah. And I went, I'm willing to give it a go. We got a couple grants and the first one enabled us to turn it into a company, increase the quality of the show, get some other tours in place, and the second one was a business development grant.
Now, thousands of music lovers are heading to Glastonbury for this weekend's sellout festival. And it seems this year, the hordes of teenagers and students are being joined by a larger 30-something contingent.
It is the traditional Glastonbury experience, wind, rain and unruly tents. But this year, there's an alternative, Glastonbury Posh. The Lost Vagueness Hotel offers room service, champagne, hot showers and a caravan.
How much is this costing a night?
£600. This.
For four of us.
For 4 of us, yeah. Good value for money.
The clientele is perhaps a little older and richer than the average festival goer, but this is certainly a sign of how things are changing.
So this is the diner in 2003.
Who's in that?
Paul, Tash, Dieter. Hear me and his youthful glow. Gaz Mail, legendary, legend. Joe Rush, so shiny, so handsome. And then this chapel was such a huge part of Vagueness and Vagueness' success, and then the whole thing about Kate and Pete getting married in the chapel and then that spreading in the press and leading to a lot of attention and stuff.
Yeah, what was that?
I think I might have made it up. But it got out there that they were having a marriage in the chapel, and then that got in tons of papers and so forth, and actually gave it a whole thing a big reputational boost.
After a few years of success, Las Vagueness ventured beyond Glastonbury, putting on events all over the country. You didn't have to wait for the festival, it came to you. Las Vagueness was a cultural property that everyone wanted a piece of.
How do you keep track of where everything is?
Well, that's the difficulty, you see, because at the moment, it's mostly just me that knows where everything is. 1 hour call, 50 minutes.
Something like Las Vagueness would have cost millions if you started charging proper money for it. So even when there was vaguely proper money on the table, you still could never get enough.
It's a miracle, isn't it? Look at it. It's great. Hello, there you are. On film and everything. No, lovely to see you.
Oh, right here. Step in front. This man has the strangest affliction that you'll ever see.
The nights at the Coronet cemented their influence into mainstream culture, and they delighted in presenting acts that would shock and challenge their expanding audiences.
Now, to be completely honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen now. We got something coming up next for you. I'm just gonna see how they do it. Oh, they look lovely and they're good to go. As we welcome, with a certain amount of trepidation, the Pain Truth Circus.
There's a lot of different ideas, even in the freak show thing. The fact that I present myself in a very feminine way is kind of my way of saying I am female, but I am hardcore and I can outscare most of you and still wear stilettos. I like shocking people. When somebody throws up or passes out, you know that they're not going to forget that show. Often afterwards, you know, come round backstage and thank you for doing a really great show. I mean, that's you've really touched the nerve there. You've really hit home to somebody. I come off stage after having done the splits on broken glass or been swinging from meat hooks in my back, and the first thing I get asked is, where do you get your lipstick? I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I get a lot of support from the female members of the audience. They feel a little bit uplifted to see somebody not sort of just flouncing around and looking petite and demure. I know that I grew up in the middle of nowhere, in the countryside, and I felt very, very isolated. And now I've found so many like-minded souls across the globe. It's pleasant to know that you're not just weird, just everyone's different. It's important to encourage diversity, even if it's just for injecting a little bit of magic into somebody's day, a little bit of wonder and delight and childlike innocence. You're sort of giving people a little bit of their innocence back, or taking it away.
One of our favourite perverted actors is banned at Vagueness, Lord Mouse. Is my mum going to see this?
If it's on telly.
I don't see anything else. I don't say anything about it.
You can't stop there. Tell us
No.
about Mouse.
No, I'm not saying a thing. Ask why she was banned.
Okay.
People were wet. They needed their costumes dry cleaning.
It's really nice because we're still talking about it. That's what I fucking love about it. And everyone really remembers it. And we've all, you know, we've all kind of gone through it together. But I was in a tech booth and I've seen it before, but she'd only done the anal, what's it called? Where you put the water in your bum and enema. That was her act before, the enema. So I was always like, yay, Mouse is coming. Yeah, she's much better at it now.
There's certain things, if you're doing an enema every day, which is nearly every day that I do an enema, that you can't do. You can't have a lot of bread, you can't have chilli, mushy peas are a bit iffy.
And when I stood back with Giz, he was like, God, did she just do what I thought she did? And I was like, yeah, because I thought, you know, it's Mouse now, you know. And I didn't see, but she'd eaten dog food and then got someone in the audience and snogged him. All of that was new.
I'm still doing a dog show, funny enough. I was in West Bromwich last week, and before that, Blackpool, working for the army, and they said, get that girl off stage! And were very upset and sent me home. And because, well, the sergeant major was being sick. And I was only eating dog food. It's not real dog food. Or is it?
it was me and Kirsty. Should we book Mouse? Yeah, let's book Mouse. Do you know what I mean? But I think she was meant to go on Saturday night, and she was meant to be a bit earlier. Like she was our last act on Sunday, which really looked like a statement to the wrong music. It was drum and bass. It wasn't meant to be drum and bass. It all looked a bit more hardcore than it was meant to look. Yeah. Immediately, me, Kirsty, Andy, Jim, Roy, just went and shut ourselves in the office as soon as it had come off, and we were like...
What's important about shocking people?
I'm not exactly sure, but that's kind of all I can do. One person fainting, one person knocked me out. She said, "How can you do that to your own body? Are you mad? What's it all about? What's the message?" I said, "There's no message, and it's my body. I can fist my ass if I want."
Some of the stuff that happens down there is quite off the scale. Stuff which I'm sure, you know, we don't know the half of it.
And I love the fact that you don't know the half of it.
And that's the whole point. We shouldn't.
The problem is, right, is they've gone somewhere and they didn't like it, right? Which isn't really the same as saying, oh, I went there and it was really poor, really amateur, it wasn't done well, no one really cared about what the program was.
DJ's classic, isn't it?
It's nonsense.
Saying a DJ is poor quality is just a real giveaway.
Voicemail box. Yeah, I mean, it's subjective, isn't it? So you can't say, I didn't like this. It's pretty obvious
The only thing that
they've not been to a Las Vagueness event before.
The only thing that as a fact that I can't disagree with is it was cold, and for that we can only apologise. You know, and if they've got a complaint about that, then that's down to the venue.
It was never advertised as warm, was it?
The need to keep money coming in meant Las Vagueness was staging events that couldn't have been further away from their beginnings in a muddy field. I was wondering if the original vision was becoming compromised.
We went to a party on a boat outside the Design Museum. We thought how well it was organised, and it was well thought out and quirky. I'd never heard of Lost Vagueness then, tracked them down. And they're here helping us out with this taster event that we're doing here. Going to carry on working with them.
Is there a good working relationship for the next 12 months, I hope?
Cheers.
It could be fun. And longer, and longer.
Hey! I thought they'd only be about 10% dressed up, and they take it very serious. It's like a religion almost. Are you contracted for 3 yeah, do you want my thinking? I've got a card.
You've been friends with Roy for years, haven't you?
Yeah, we shared a lot of workshops together. He's built quite a lot of stuff for different shows in my life. He's been there a lot to help without needing massive financial reward just for the hell of it.
Things had reached a point with Las Vagueness where it's really hard to turn down offers to do commercial things. Certainly seemed to have leapt from something that was here and something that was experienced in a kind of completely out there, free way. It started appearing at other places and kind of in a more corporate kind of setting.
I still really embrace things that, to me, have a feeling of steps and roots and anarchy and misbehaviour. A lot of the earlier stuff couldn't have happened if the motivation had been anything to do with making money. So different from the ethos of people getting together in a field and creating something that isn't everyday life.
For us, as anarchic people, it struck a great vein to make money from rich people or people with a budget, and to feed that budget back into gigs where the vibe was good, you know. So yeah, it kind of looked good on paper.
If the corporates had really seen what Lost Vagueness actually was, they wouldn't have wanted it. What they thought it was what the Guardian and Glastonbury Festival PR machine was saying it was. And if we would have gone, oh yeah, well it's a load of dropouts from society, a load of new age travellers, and we'll come and do a party for you, they'd have run a bloody mile.
If he was wearing a suit with a bow tie and a white shirt, it's a really memorable, visible, really delicious thing that people would remember.
It is lovely, but I think that's a little bit too quirky and hippie-ish. Tell you what would be better if it was him in a suit with a little fin, mixing up little martinis and putting them on a tray.
But that's the same if there were 20 people, 50 people doing that at other stalls. There will be nobody doing that.
Because it's
and it's
not
memorable.
corporate.
But it's
not
memorable.
Yeah, but we'll be shooting ourselves in the foot,
I
spending
disagree.
all this
I
money
disagree.
for all this work we're doing and all this money we're spending. We need to be aiming for the very top end clients, and
Yeah,
they're not going to go.
We can't have oysters.
Who said oysters?
Well, that's high end, isn't it?
Little blinis, or like who, you know.
What's a
if you
bellini?
want-
I don't even know what a bellini
They're
is.
what we were giving out at the Guardian night.
They're boring. There'd be 20 people doing that. There'd be 20 people going, oh, we'll have a cocktail and our
Not in a
laugh.
performery way. You're not letting the argument into your brain.
I have let the argument into my brain, and I simply disagree. I'm not saying you're completely wrong. You're saying I'm completely wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. Corporates don't want that, and that's not what I'm saying to you. I'm saying it's interesting enough to give it a go. It's something that people would remember.
One day, I get a phone call from my cousin, who is my dad's younger brother's daughter, another cousin from my dad's older brother's second marriage, had phoned her because his ex-wife, who lives in Scotland, was messing about on the computer and put Roy's name into Google or whatever, you know? And she said a whole site came up. So she immediately phoned her daughter, and she phoned me and said, I think we found Roy. So I phoned the number and I spoke to him.
Just enough time had gone by, and I think I knew that my father was on his way out, and I just thought, well, maybe, you know, maybe it's a good time to get back in touch, I don't know.
What was the amazing thing was that I could phone my mum and say, I've made contact with Roy, he's still alive. Yeah, no, it was just so nice that she got to be with him for a bit before she died. She never went to Glastonbury, but we went to one of the festivals and she actually sang.
Yeah. I think it rained there as well.
I think it did, yeah, when you got there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just gigs that you come to.
Yeah. Maybe we shouldn't come anymore.
And not only that, we met all his children apart from his son. The 3 daughters. But this was all after my dad had passed away. Roy never saw my dad again.
Taking a few snippets over a 15-year period when those films were made, yeah, it all looks lovely, isn't it? It's easy to do. You're not going to film someone having an argument, are you? You'd only pick up the camera when there's something nice going on.
Did you want to be a different dad to your dad?
Very much so, yeah. And I absolutely believe that I am.
In what way?
I'm not a demanding parent. I'm not trying to make them be anything that they don't want to be. I'm not horrible. I don't think I'm horrible to them.
Daddy most?
Daddy.
Well done, Lola.
I didn't expect that.
It's classic. Good girl, Lola.
She usually says,
I have to live my life, don't I? I can't really live any differently than I do. And, you know, and that's the example that I'd like my children to live their lives by. I think it's better to live your life courageously and have near misses than to live your life so safely that it just becomes a pointless exercise.
Within no time at all, Las Vagueness seemed to be everywhere.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Hiya.
Yeah, we have got tickets.
One night, I followed Roy to the Erotic Review yearly awards. Las Vagueness had been nominated as Best Event.
Right.
Roy doesn't have to think about why he's doing it. He knows why he's doing it. Do you know what I mean? That's like, it's his thing. I don't give a fuck about events. I really don't. I hate events. I'm not going to go and work for an event company. I could leave here and go and work for some events company doing a £20 million party for Philip Green on a private island. Like, that's not what I'm about. Fuck that. You know, someone else can do it and they'll feel dirty. I swear to God, when they walk away from it, because there's not that much money in the fucking world, and you can't watch it be spunked up the wall and stuff like that.
And cracking straight on, the next award is Lost Vagueness. If they could come up, please.
Goodness gracious, what are you doing with that, Emma?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? That evidently is what I've won. What Las Vagueness has won. 1,256 people, millions of people. They're all responsible for Las Vagueness winning that. Anyone that's ever been to Las Vagueness, liked it, voted for it, been there, worked at it, had a good time. There you go. That is the culmination of all our efforts.
I've been going through this whole kind of philosophical argument in the last week of like what I want my life to be. Do you know what I mean? And that involves Las Vagueness and whether I work for Las Vagueness or not. If I didn't work for Las Vagueness, and really, you know, also the question of whether me and Roy stay friends is, you know, comes into that. I'm absolutely positive that I am integral and that he appreciates me. However, I've seen people be integral and, you know, be valued. And I've seen him, and it's not like he doesn't value them or appreciate them, it's that he fucking turns from loving them to hating them.
In the meantime, I've actually gone and booked a different tent because it wasn't available.
After 3 years of trying to be a business, the pressure was taking its toll. With the strain of putting on an event every 6 weeks and 500 people to manage, all the fun seemed to have gone.
I want the tent exactly where it is on the map that I drew, and that's where I want it.
People would call me up about work at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It was more like being in a massive gang.
Hi, Lola.
We worked really hard and then we partied really hard and then we worked really hard, and there was no like, hey, it's Tuesday night, maybe I should take it easy.
We have finished concert now. We're gonna have a little party with Rusty. You like?
It wasn't possible to carry on like that. We displayed that.
I can get you a letter to say that we are guaranteed this money from Glastonbury, which in total will be about £200,000. Yeah, okay.
You know, we were talking to Jim the other day, and financially it's really difficult for me, and I know that we're talking about the money going up and everything, but I'm trying to think about how to make it, and I did actually think that I was going to have a mortgage, but I've applied for a management training programme for people who work in arts management.
Does that mean you go off for a year and do that?
It does, yeah.
It does, but 700 people applied for it and there's only 10 places.
Yeah, but you'll get it.
No, I won't get it. I thought I may as well just send the application.
When's that starting?
September. Like, if I owned Lost Vagueness, then I would see it as my life project. But I don't own Lost Vagueness, so my life project isn't Lost Vagueness, it's my life.
Right, okay. Okay, yeah. Alright, well, we need to work out who's going to replace you when you go and do that.
A new company, LV Events, was formed. I found it difficult to watch as it began selling its parties at international trade fairs.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, obviously we can only do one thing here, but if you look at the pictures, we do everything from one end of the production through to the recycling at the other end.
Hello. This is us smartening up our act.
You all right?
The bigger it got, the more things went wrong. And as they did, I saw a different side to Roy compared with the man that I knew from Glastonbury.
He's promised us it'd all be here by lunchtime. It's still not here. These are fucking pieces of toilet paper and we're losing our business from this. But what am I supposed to do about it to make him fucking get his finger out of his fucking arse and sort out the problem? What do we do?
I don't know. He has fucked things up really badly a few times by losing the plot with people that he didn't need to lose the plot with. He's put himself and everything else in jeopardy numerous times. Arguably, it's his thing to put in jeopardy, so, you know, if he fucks it, you know, we'll all be all right. If he fucks it up, it's his life that's going to be gone, you know, not ours.
What about kind of what really drives that?
You know what it is, I think, Sofia, is because he has come from a background, I'm not going to say too much about it, but he left home at quite an early age due to difficult circumstances and went off to make it. And I think essentially the answer that you're looking for, and of course it comes from me and not him, is that it's an attempt to prove himself in some way, to say, this is what I've made good, you know. I'm not sure who he's trying to prove himself to, whether it be his parents, his family.
I was very, very close to my mum. I think we all were. Yeah, I mean, we did have happy times, but a lot of the time it was spoiled.
Describe my mum. Very tolerant. I don't remember ever hearing her saying no. Always trying to feed people. Could never go out without putting on makeup and being dressed up. But I think that was pressure from my father. Everything had to be the way he wanted it to be, rather than how she wanted it to be. And he was always horrible to her. He was quite a violent man.
He was very volatile. When there were arguments and he hit me because I used to shout, leave her alone, and I used to get really angry, and my mum would say, be quiet. He'd tear up her clothes, he'd smash things, and then he'd storm out. And we'd say, please lock him out, don't let him back. You know, you just had to be really, really careful.
Glastonbury, and I bumped into Roy, and he was sort of having a moan, oh yeah, we go again, it's all starting now. Yeah, and I think, you know, Roy, I think you should just stop, you know, why are you moaning about it? If you don't like doing it, you know, just stop doing it. It's too stressful. He didn't make it easier for himself because it expanded from sort of 200 people to 20,000.
Emma at radio. I just need to talk to her briefly.
Hi Roy, I'm actually in production. I've got a radio.
Hello. I've just phoned Melvin, and I said that I've been made aware that my planes are over at Trash City, and I'm going over there now to repossess them.
There was somebody setting up a bar in the cockpit of an aeroplane, a lad called Phil.
I've been doing a cafe with Las Vagueness since the first year. I started thinking about getting some aeroplane 3 or 4 years ago. When I mentioned it to Roy, he said, that's a crap idea, you should do a boat, which makes me laugh now.
Phil was either married to or in a relationship with Debs, who was working with Roy.
Phil obviously was doing the diner in Trash City that year, so I was hearing about it, but I wasn't going there. I wasn't going up to Las Vagueness then. I was like very much staying down near the pyramid stage in my little safety world, basically.
And why did you make that choice then?
Because I would have been too scared to go to Las Vagueness, truth be told, in that year.
There's no doubt that these are the two cockpits.
They are the two very same cockpits that were used outside the diner at Las Vagueness in 2005.
No doubt about that.
No doubt
What's
whatsoever.
in that?
Yeah, well, they're mine. They are mine. Right? So that's not the issue. They're claiming they're theirs. You don't know, and I'm not asking you to judge that. We agreed upon that they would not be used here in this context. No, they belong to Las Vagueness, and that's the end of the story. Yeah, so have I. So have I. Well, I don't have to. I show you a receipt, you grab it out of my hand and run off with it, because you thieve that the same as you thieve the planes. Right, who's been paying the storage of them for the last 2 years? No, you haven't. Show me the receipt. Show me the receipt. I've got receipts. Show me the receipt. Show me the receipt. Hang on. Show me the receipt. You're showing me the receipt. Go on. You see, the problem is that we agreed that these planes were the planes outside Las Vagueness last year, and they will not be being used here. Right? Okay, well, I'll tell you what, Melvin. You deal with this, or I'm going to fucking tell everyone in my area to fuck off and go home, right, including myself. You've won. You've won, Melvin. You can have your fake Lost Vagueness all to your very self. Shut the field.
I can't shut these can't be fucking fields as well, can I?
Alright, I'll fucking do it myself, alright? If that's what you want, I'll do it myself. Sorry, this area is now shut. Come back here, thank you.
It'll be alright, he's just angry at the moment, isn't he? Has he done this before? What? Kicked off?
No, threatened to shut the whole thing down.
Probably, not that I can remember, but I don't really take any of it that seriously. You know, maybe he has or maybe he hasn't. It's a pretty explosive kind of character.
Hello, Michael. Right, okay, it's to do with these planes. They are in the middle of that field. Melvin is laughing at me, telling me to fuck off. So that is now what I'm doing, but I'm taking all my stuff and all my friends with me. So either those planes get removed or it's all over. I'll leave it with you. You know, I'm already now down in tools, and I've got a lot of cameras here already. Well, the world's press will probably be interested, and I dare say so too. Well, I dare say your punters will be concerned because they've bought tickets that include Las Vagueness, but it won't be here. Okay, all right, yeah, we ain't got long. Hurry up. All right, thank you. Bye bye.
Melbourne's actually dead against Roy for all manner of reasons. You know, I was defending him against, I said, I'm doing it anyway, you know, whether you like it or not, sort of thing. Because it's my show, you know what I mean?
Well, the planes are there, and
Why
they're
don't you travel them over or something?
No, I want them removed. I want them picked up, and I want to put them in a barn, and they can stay there till the end of the festival.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do.
You were going to resolve it. I tried to resolve it. We agreed. Yeah, we agreed that the planes that are in dispute of ownership, and it was understood that neither yourself nor Melvin would judge who owns them. That would be for the court to decide. Yeah, you cannot have those planes in that field and this. It's a simple choice. One or the other, not both. One or the other. Simple.
I've got very complex feelings about Las Vagueness, but this isn't the way to behave as a human. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I think. I don't think any of the 4 people concerned have behaved particularly well. I think they've all been pretty selfish and self-absorbed and, you know, creating a lot of bad feeling between people who've known and worked with each other for years and years. I don't give a fuck about the fucking aeroplanes.
Did it matter that they were there? Las
They.
Vagueness were the planes. Las Vagueness was already an established, safe thing.
Well, it kind of mattered because there was definitely more of that to come. I felt murmurings that the chapel wanted to have its independence and go somewhere else, and the trailer park wanted to go somewhere else, and so all the component parts, you know, the roller disco, it was a coup. You know, it was just being done autonomously by Phil and Debs and Melvin. That is mine. That is mine. That is mine. The contents of that tent is mine. The contents of that tent is mine. That tower is mine. The contents of that is mine. All the dodgems, it's all mine. The bar is mine. It all belongs to me. Yeah. It's part of my show, Michael, and they've taken it, and I'm not going to allow the rest of my show to be picked up by anybody willy-nilly who comes in here and goes, oh, I'm going to carry on working, because they're not. If I picked up the pyramid and left it with a cardboard cut-out version over there, and I opened up in a field across there with Glastonbury Festival, yeah, I think you'd have a problem with it.
I can understand where Roy was coming from on it, but I think he needed to get over it, really, and move on. We valued what he did, as hard work as he was, and bloody hell, I mean...
Have you been following Roy all morning?
Pretty much all day.
So what's it about then this time?
The planes in Trash City. It's still about the planes.
What, and Roy thinks he owns them, and they're in Trash City, so he's cancelling it.
They're his, are they?
Who knows? No, you're his and I'm his, we're all his. You've got to stop filming now.
Okay.
Can we move one of the planes?
All right, we'll have one back here, yeah. There you go. We'll split the baby in half.
One?
And I want to say which one I want.
Don't you tell me which one you're going to get?
No, you can't. No,
Well,
I'm
going to tell you.
I'm going to tell you.
No, you're not.
Well, then there's no deal, Lee.
Crazy, you really are.
Do you know what? There's a
Well,
real
yeah, maybe I am. Maybe I am. I'm as crazy as you, Michael.
For the sake of the piece of it,
Yeah.
we would remove almost certainly the one that Roy would want removed.
Well, hang on a minute. I want to know exactly what it is that I'm agreeing to, because I'm unclear now.
To removal of the bar, but not down to here.
Do you think, in hindsight, it could have been handled differently?
Oh, everything can always be handled differently. I don't think I could have handled anything differently. I could have just gone, yeah, help yourself, you know, here's the bank account, here's all the trucks, here's I'll come and work for you, you know, I'll volunteer, and I could have done that, yeah. But actually, I don't really think anyone on the planet in their right mind would have done that.
I'm gonna take it away.
I'll get people working again, right? But I'm also letting you know it's purely about A, a matter of principle, and B, about me trying to save the existence of this and not destroy it. And I feel like I've been walked over.
Sorry, that genuinely isn't my intention because, you know, I love what you do.
Great, get on with that and I'll get on with this. See you later. All right, well, let's carry on then.
Let's carry on.
Roy, to all listening on Lost Vagueness channel, that's I think that's Lost Vagueness 1, Glastonbury Festival 0. We can all just ignore the last half hour and just carry on. Sun's shining, it's brilliant.
Cheers for that, you twat.
Yeah, I love you too, Russell.
Aaron guy's lost his mind. He's got issues that none of us are responsible for. These people just work. They work hard and they believe in something and they're happy to put it together.
It was really hard to watch all of your friends be that angry and see someone be such a dick. And I think he was having a breakdown. Like, I think the generous interpretation of those events is that he was having a breakdown.
Dark as shame, darling, dark as shame. Thank you for all the joy and pain. Picture show, second balcony. Was the place we'd meet, second seat, gold Dutch treat. You were sweet, dark as shame, darling, dark as shame. Save those lies, darling, don't explain.
Fucking hell!
I recall.
This is it now. I mean, look, another black cloud on its way over. It dumps some more deluge on us. There is no rest. Apparently we're wicked. Must be the case. Beginning to think the festival's being run by Satan.
Pretty tired and quite happy to leave.
Are you?
At this point? Yeah, I am.
So Rory?
I'm just. Well, I've got
I haven't got any, no.
Pete?
Yeah, send.
It was really easy to walk away from something which was so dysfunctional, and I didn't really have any regrets. I didn't feel like, the party's carrying on without me. Like, I felt like the party's going to end really soon and it's okay. Like, everything was so messed up at the end.
It was on its knees, you know, it was dying. What killed it?
I think probably lack of communication. I think the unsustainability of the gigs that came afterwards were like made it so that it was actually impossible to pay 500 people to do a gig on a budget of £2,000. And that added extra pressure to Roy. And maybe his response was not ideal for some people.
That was the end of Las Vagueness, and I didn't know what to expect when I found Roy and everyone else 7 years later. Would he be dreaming up new ventures? Or would he be living a quieter life?
We're all just a bit too old for this shit, aren't we?
Crazy. Is that your end room?
It was essentially my decision that I wouldn't be going back in 2008. As I recall, I had discussed that with Michael. I said that I wouldn't be able to come back, and then he sent me a letter going, "Oh, thanks, but we don't want you to come back." After 20 years working there, didn't even get a carriage clock. But I did get a thank you letter. I don't know where it is.
After that, there was this whole other scene born, which was all the people who'd worked with Roy, who remained here, and we had this whole fresh new scene. And we came up with the name Shangri-La because whenever we've been away, my dad would be like, "We're back here at Shangri-La." He always called it Shangri-La.
Main TV studio in the middle where all the TV programmes will be getting made. The Shangri-La International Television, you won't be able to avoid it everywhere you go. Bloody hell. Kids area, we're calling it, but it's really not. The baton's been passed to me, I think because I've hung in there because I really believed in it, how art can transform people and change lives.
Get your Shangri-La in! No bullshit in this paper. Come on now, it's only £1. All
I met these guys from Torquay. What they were saying to me was this place made them think out of the box. that's the legacy, because how many million people have been through here in 25 years and gone, what? I didn't even know that existed.
I'm not quite sure exactly what the legacy of Las Vagueness is, except that we're still here in most cases, and there's really no doubt that this has followed on in its footsteps with largely the same core group of people, with obviously some key people sadly not there.
The festival's completely changed, but it's had to. I don't know what Roy would make of it now. I like to think that he would get it, because it is real punk attitude behind it that's the same.
Roy and his gang created an entire culture which we see around us today in cabaret, performance art and music. Now, all-night entertainment and boutique camping is everywhere.
We met all these really amazing people who are now so deeply entrenched in what the festival is now. They are part of the fibre of the whole thing. So we've got Roy to thank for that, really. Michael wanted to put a statue of him up.
On Saturday night, I go right the way through the night. At 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4, finish up at 5 o'clock in the morning when the daylight breaks, and I see the whole thing, and it really is incredible. Absolutely amazing.
How does that make you feel? Do you feel proud?
Oh, I feel tired.
Let's just listen to the rhythms of our flesh aging and watch the stars glow. Be your real self. Show the things they say you can't show. Breathe deep to the boom bap and the beat. Believe what your heart knows. Let the bars flow tight and love with pure energy. It's a cold night in London and I'm screaming at my loved ones to wake up and love more. I'm pleading with my loved ones to wake up and love more. Take care of each other. I want to say one thing, and I say it every time I'm at Glastonbury, right? When you see someone fucked up in the mud and you pick them up and you give them some water. Imagine you could take that home with you and actually care about your fellow humans. Take it home. Do it on a tube. Do it on a fucking street. Do it in fucking Calais. Take it home. Do it.
What's so exciting about Glastonbury is the enormous scale of creative risks. If Michael Eavis hadn't have taken a chance on Roy, there wouldn't have been a Las Vagueness. But who are the Mavericks today, and who will be their champion?
Roy was very cantankerous. We were all a little bit scared of him, actually, but he was really generous to me, and his vision was brilliant.
It was the breaking down audience performer boundaries that then had so much influence on Secret Cinema and Shunt and Punch Drunk and everything else that's out there now.
Actually, they were on the cusp of something enormous. And it's sad, really, because what Roy created was extraordinary. And if he could have got over that hump of allowing people to be inspired by him rather than fearing them, I think he would have gone on and created great things, really, would be my view.
In a way, though, isn't Roy kind of being true to the spirit of what Lost Vagueness was, and we've all kind of sold out a little bit? You know, we've all got proper jobs and live in houses, and, you know, there was something about the anarchy which he's held on to that we've all just kind of sacked off. You know, I definitely have.
What do you think about that?
I'm all right with it. I've got central heating.
I've carried on with Shangri-La, but it's meant that I have not been able to buy a house like most people have. I haven't got any assets, haven't got any savings. I've literally just put my own life into doing this. thing, because I think just creating is the reason that I exist.
Las Vegas, it was a bit of a runaway train. I'm happy that it stopped. I would probably either be clinically insane or dead if it had carried on.
By choice, I live on my own now and have done for a while, and I find, you know, it's less burdensome on women generally to not have them make them try to live with me, because I don't think it works. You know, I've had 4 kids and 4 relationships, all of which they all feel better off without me. So maybe there's a message there. With my youngest daughter, I think it's somehow easier because I've had more time with her. With my older ones, either I left or I was thrown out. I'm much more involved with the upbringing of Lola. She stays here every other weekend and half the holidays, and she goes off to work with me when I've got obtains.
Can you foresee a day when you can make peace?
No, well, I sort of floated it around. Either I could bring the chapel back and just run the chapel. You see, the chapel but I don't think they'd have him back, that's the thing. Shame, isn't it, really? But the show goes on though, you see.
It's been a really, really long time and I don't really know him anymore. It's hard to kind of feel angry about someone who's kind of a stranger.
Do you have any fond memories of Roy?
Yeah, loads. He was a really good friend. He was like, I had a breakup and he was fiercely protective and really made sure that I was okay and that person didn't come near me, and tried to give me a car once. It's really nice. I took it to get an MOT and they were like, the chassis thing had snapped in half. It was totally undrivable. But, you know, he must have known that. But in his head it was fine, you know, it was one of his classic, like, disastrous vehicles. And he was funny, he could be funny. In a dad way, you know.
Definitely in a dad way.
I did want to make a success of it. I lived, and still do effectively, as a new age traveller. And yeah, at the time I think I was on a bit of a mission to get it across that these disenfranchised people, quite a lot were drug addicts, a handful were alcoholics, but actually there was a lot that were much, much better than that. And those people now are the ones that are creating the arts in this country. And maybe I was on a mission to prove to myself that I was better than that.